And we're live. Good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to the Mojo Show, your real estate podcast where we talk about everything real estate, home ownership. I'm your host, Joe Mortgage.
And I'm Cup of Joe Mortgage.
This week's episode, we are kicking off our 4-part series on preparing your home for spring, where we're going to be covering landscaping, construction, remodeling, staging, preparing your home for spring real estate market. And today we're going to be diving into, Joe, did you see what I did with that?
Diving. Yeah, I like that. I like that one.
Yeah. We're going to be diving into swimming pools, maintenance of them, or maybe you want to get a new pool for your backyard and much more. So, but before we get to that, Joe, I understand that this is softball season for your daughter.
It is right now. She made JV softball
JV,
for
nice.
as a freshman. They don't have a freshman team, but still, she's playing good. Came off her surgery in August, but yesterday we got to play Denton High, and her previous select coach, his daughter plays on Denton High, and so Anna got the starting position pitching yesterday. And she pitched all 4 innings.
Yeah.
And shut out. They did not score 1 run on her. She only walked 3 batters. She struck out 3 batters, but the defense was on point. She was throwing great pitches. And then she got up to bat 3 times and she went 2 for 3. But on the fly out she did on her 3rd time up, she actually got an RBI. So that also helps her.
Rock on.
She had a fantastic game, and it was bittersweet because the coach's daughter that she plays on the team was pitching against us.
Okay,
so it's a little good competition, especially in sports. I'm so proud of her. She's really starting to come along again. But sports are tough in Texas, especially. I know they're probably tough everywhere, but I was really just the team atmosphere. They've really gelled, and you talk about like our team here. We've got people that want to help each other. They want to promote each other. They want to try to drive them to get better, and that's what we're seeing right now with the new coaching staff. We had a new head coach come in on softball, and they're really starting to push each other. Varsity was cheering on the JV team. JV stays around, and we were cheering on varsity. And yesterday was just a fun atmosphere last night. But I will tell you, concession stands at games.
Yeah.
Right. These prices, we're not at major league games, guys. Let's get those prices back down to $4 for a burger, not $7.
Oh man, I actually used to play a lot of softball. We'd have leagues like after work and that. I'd be in about 2 or 3 leagues a week. At least 1 or 2 of them were doubleheader leagues, and man, I wouldn't get home until 11:30 midnight by the time those doubleheader leagues were over. But loved it. Of course, I can't do that anymore. The body just doesn't move the way it used to.
One of the things that she almost got in trouble for was she was trying to throw a changeup, and she was floating it versus throwing it.
Yeah.
And the first time I said, okay, throw it, don't float it. The second time I said that, all of a sudden I got a shut up, Joe.
Oh.
She meant to say it in her head.
Oh.
But it came out here, and the parents heard it in the stand and just started laughing. So, and I just said, she's on the field, so I won't yell at her right now.
Later,
there was a talk later, but it was awesome. It was awesome.
That's good. Well, Joe, we've got a great special guest on our show for today. I know you've known him for some time. Super excited about having him on. He's a native of Texas. He's worked in construction and real estate for 20 years now. Been focusing on pools and backyards for the past 7 years. Please welcome to the show, Mickey Meckenheim, ladies and gentlemen.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, Mickey, we're excited to have you on today. And Joe, that was a great little dive in comment that you had earlier. I was excited about it. Guys, before we get into Mickey talking and things like that, if you are listening right now, please put questions in the comments, other things, so that way we can, ask Mickey these questions, especially when it comes to the construction and pools and things like that. Feel free to drop in the comments or questions so that way, we can have an interactive show. But Mickey, before you get started, tell us a little bit more about yourself, family wise, and, what got you into what you're doing today.
Yeah, man. Thanks again, guys, for having me here. So a little bit about me, like you said, native Texan. I grew up in Houston and migrated to DFW and been here ever since. But got a degree in biology and chemistry and been selling stuff all my life, and kind of through the family and a family business, et cetera, had always been involved in construction and things like that. So construction into things started quite a long time ago in the early 2000s, 2001 or two. Also done a lot of sales, been heavy into the medical field, and actually still do that as well. So the family business portion of things, though, revolves around construction, and we built a bunch of homes. We've done a lot of remodel stuff. I work in the real estate end of things, done a lot of buying and selling and things like that. And as of lately, I say in the last 7-8 years, we've converted all those construction efforts and knowledge that goes along with that and what makes your home pretty. We've converted that and moved it into the backyard setting of things. So we got a handful of folks that kind of run around and do the stuff that we do on a daily basis. But like I say, it's a family business from my wife to my brother-in-law to another family member, and everybody just kind of keeps it going. Right. But on the family side of things, though, to kind of tell you a little bit more about me on that end, we've got four kids, and one of them is the oldest is a junior going to school at University of Texas right now. Boy, we got the next one is a girl that's a junior in high school. We've got a boy that's a sophomore in high school, and a girl that's an 8th grader. And
you had to think about that one, huh?
I did. I got to think, we keep them all in order, make sure we get it right over here. It's funny though. My wife Stacy, a lot of times, which we're all guilty of it, start running down the list of names, trying to yell out whose name that's properly need to be called that's in trouble, right? You get down the list, know which one you're trying to talk to.
Yeah. I have that struggle with just 2 kids. I can't imagine with 4. So,
oh boy, that in the pantry, right? They're always cruising through the pantry, never anything that I want to eat because they've sucked it all down.
Yeah. Right.
And then Stacy, my wife Stacy, she and I have been married for coming on 18 years now. So cruising down that path with my partner, and good stuff.
Well, yeah, that's awesome. And I've known you for a while now, and we've watched the kids grow up together in Argyle. And the one thing that I would say is your business being a family business, it's exactly correct. That feel of wanting to take care of your family employing them, but also you did that with me as a client. So just a little backstory real quick, Joe. Mickey, my whole backyard is because of Mickey. Wow. And his brother-in-law and his wife and the whole setup. And, I share pictures on there, and I know you've seen pictures of it. But the pool that you guys constructed, it has changed our family life. We used to go to the lake all the time. Now when I'm looking to sell a boat instead of, acquiring a bigger one, because we love that backyard. So today we want to talk a little bit about care and maintenance on your equipment going into the spring, going into the summer, trying to pool season. I know we chatted last night about you guys had your pool going for spring break instead of going away. That gas bill might take that vacation money, but
that's right.
What are some helpful hints for people that have either a pool already? What are some helpful hints that they need to do to prepare and make sure their equipment's working right for the summer months?
Yeah, good question. Good thoughts. Some people have somebody else that takes care of their swimming pool. Some people take care of it on their own. But either way, whether somebody else is or if you are, it's in your best interest to kind of know what's going on with it and know what's going on. I say that to mean there's a couple of things that you can do on a, every couple of days or at least once a week or something to keep yourself in check. So you'll know that you're not going to have something get out of control, whether your service person or yourself is on top of it or not. One of which, and it may sound simple, but it really is just one of the most important things, is just kind of listening. You may get accustomed to the hum of what your pump sounds like and things like that, whether you got a water feature or things that make a different kind of noise, but to just kind of listen to it, and just whether you're walking around the backyard or whether take a second to look at it and see what's going on. Because when you got a pump that's struggling, or if you got some debris in there, you got something that's clogged up, you got number one thing that happens to most everybody, and you may come across it twice a year, possibly more, depending on your environment, but your filter's getting clogged. So if you hear a pump that's maybe being a little bit louder, if you've got a water feature that typically flows pretty nice and it looks like it's slowed down or it's doing something a little bit different, that'll lead you to kind of go down that path of, well, maybe my pump's struggling, maybe it's doing something different, maybe I need to look at it. And most times you'll have a gauge on the top of the big brown canister. That's a filter. Yep. Have a gauge on top of that thing. And when that gauge goes into 30 PSI or greater, that's when it's time to change those filters. So either change them or give them a good washing. Most of the time you can wash them with a water hose and get it all cleaned up and put it back together and work just fine and get things circulating good. But that's the most common something that goes on with something. Secondary to chemicals and algae and things that could grow in there. Coming into the winter season, the maintenance becomes easier to a certain degree because the chlorine is not necessarily needed when the water temperatures fall so low. So now that we're coming into spring season, that water's warming up, it's best to have a jump on your chlorine and your algicide to make sure that you beforehand have control of that water and what's going on there. Because the last thing you want to do is have either black algae growing, you'll see green algae growing, and the worst of which would be mustard algae, a yellow algae. If you get any of those that come about and get out of control, it becomes evacuate all the water, acid bath to the base of the pool, and start over. So
good.
And that could also come from filters. Filters being super dirty, you got extra junk in there that's continuing to circulate through the pool. So if you got good clean filters, your pump's running strong, and you got your chlorine up and good, and you don't have any algae build up, you got some algicide in there, those things will get you hopping off into spring pretty quick.
So what you're telling me is I need to get my filters cleaned pretty quick before the spring season. Exactly. I did the backwash the other day and the pressure went down, but I'm like, okay, I got to take this thing off, and I'm regretting that part right now, taking that over.
Well, Joe, you quit spilling your beer in the pool.
Mike Rowe does them,
Yeah. What did you say, Joe?
I said if you would quit spilling your beer in the pool all the time,
that helps. That
it's
helps
fermenting.
Oh man,
Mickey, what about those that have like older pools, 15, 20 years old, and that, what kind of help can be done for some of them that maybe there's starting to get some cracks or something? Are there updates or anything that can be done to them?
Yeah, good question. And to tell you the truth, we do as many new pool builds, pretty much as many new pool builds as we do remodeling of existing swimming pools. If you think about it, what you got in a swimming pool is a concrete shell in the ground that's holding water. That's got some pretty surface stuff on it, and pumps that are circulating the water and doing what it's doing. So if you got a pool that's 15, 20, 25 years old, it could be kind of looking a little bit worn. It's almost like your home. You'll repaint the inside of your house, you'll repaint the outside of your house, you may do all kinds of updates to make it look pretty again. Your swimming pool's the same way. So if you've got one that's a little bit older, there's a lot of things that have changed in the last 20, 25 years. So you can, a lot of times what we do, if we do a complete remodel, we'll drain that thing, take it all the way down to the bare shell, and we'll put a new liner in it. When I say liner, the plaster is what that's called. You got a whole world of different options for plaster, whether you want the white stuff, something with some color, something with some flakes and flecks, something with some cool pebble material. There's a whole litany of different ways that you can go with that. So you can really make a difference by changing the color of your interior belly of your pool. What also goes with that is the waterline tiles. So the 6-inch tiles that go all the way around.
Right.
Most pools have those 6-inch tiles, but whenever you get into some of the neat stuff, you got some glass tiles, you got some smaller squares, you can do some decorative stuff.
Okay.
So you can take and replace that. And then same thing with that. It's called coping, but it's a 1 foot area that goes all the way around the pool. That is separate from the concrete decking or whatever kind of material you have around the outside.
Okay.
A lot of times we change that out too. So those 3 things: the interior finish of the belly of the pool, the tile that goes around it, and the coping. And doing those three things will take and make it pop and look brand new. At the same point in time, it would address any kind of leaks that are going on. A lot of times skimmers start to leak over time. Spas, hot tubs start to leak over time because most of the time they're at a different height. They're at a different level than what the pool is. So whether there's any kind of movement or something that could have changed, hot tubs start to leak over time. So all those things get addressed whenever you put a new layer of belly material in there and get those things put back together. That's on the pretty side of what it looks like. But on the technology side, that's where a lot of advancements have been made. In 2020, when everything shut down for COVID, it ended up utilizing a lot of equipment that was sitting on shelves that suppliers had stocked up. I tell you what, that year and the following year were a couple of the most busy years that we've had ever, because people were staying home. They put money into their bank. So a lot of the remodels and a lot of suppliers were just pulling pumps off the shelf. I say all that to say it put suppliers in a position to bring newer technology faster. It was in 26 whenever the suppliers were required to make all of their pumps energy efficient with standards that give us as homeowners lower electric bills, efficiency with turning the water, and much more quiet pump systems running outside. It sped that up. So I can't buy any pumps, and they don't make any pumps anymore that are not E-Star energy efficient pumps. And with that, you get the technology to control it with this right here. Your telephone will control your pump, your speed of it, your water feature, turn on your hot tub, turn on your water slide, change your lights from red to yellow to blue to green, all at the palm of your hand. So if you've got an older system, it's simple to update that to where, you're sitting at the restaurant and you and the wife decide, hey, let's get in the hot tub. You flip it on your phone, and by the time you get home, it's hot and ready.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Anyone that has any comments, if you own a pool, you got questions, drop them in the comments below. Actually, Tanya popped up a question for us, and I was actually going to ask this, so thank you,
I was
Tanya.
wondering the same thing.
Yeah,
so thank you.
as far as let me just pop this up here. So Tanya's asking Mickey, as far as salt water versus chlorine, which is better? And I was going to ask you if you do saltwater pools, and it sounds like you probably do. Which one's better?
Good question. And there's a few ways to go with that. So a lot of people are just saltwater or chlorine, but to add more to the mix, there's saltwater, there's chlorine, there's mineral systems, and there's ozone systems. And they kind of go up in cost as we went in those directions.
Yeah.
Chlorine, saltwater, minerals, and then ozone. But all of those are just different ways to essentially clean your water and chlorinate the water. So no matter what, you end up with a certain amount of chlorine to disinfect and keep your water clean. But the answer to that question is, I always tell people this too, that kind of goes back to you. What is better, salt or chlorine? What do you like better in terms of, would you rather sit in a salt bath or freshwater bath? You like being in the ocean and the salt water and what that makes your skin feel like, or would you rather be in the lake in the fresh water, or does it even matter? So if there's no matter in that, my next answer is, are you maintaining your pool or is somebody else maintaining your pool? Because if you are maintaining yours, chlorine's going to be a little bit more hands-on, and then salt water will be a little bit more hands-off. The salt, a little bit of the way that things work, the salt converts into chlorine through a process of electrolysis, and that's where you get it. Where typically you'd add chlorine on a weekly basis, salt you add on a monthly basis. You still will check it weekly, but likely you won't have to add any salt but every 4 weeks or so. So it kind of goes back to you and what do you want it to feel like in your skin and being in the water, who's doing the maintenance and what you like to do with it. And then a lot of people also ask, well, is it going to make my equipment burn up or rust out any faster? The answer to that is no. The equipment is in good shape. The water runs through all polymer or plastic type materials, so we're not putting anything through metal, so it's not going to rust or anything like that. The only one drawback for chlorine for salt water is it is going to cause your rock features and your coping, your joint lines, those will get a little bit more scaling more quickly, and they'll erode a little bit more quickly. So, Joe at his house has a nice waterfall with a big jump rock and some cool stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend salt over there because it will turn that thing white and it'll start making those joint lines come out more quickly. So
okay,
that'd be the only drawback for salt. If you got some good looking water features, it'll mess them up quicker.
Well, I know out in Arizona when we lived out there, we had a pool, and most pools in Arizona were saltwater because it doesn't evaporate as quickly as freshwater or chlorine pools is what they said. So I think a lot of that also determines on where you're at.
Where you're living.
Where you're living and what that weather's like. Like Joe up in Michigan, I don't know if
chlorine.
you would do a salt water up there because during the winter you shut down the pool. So I think it just depends on where you're at a lot of times. But I like the chlorine, and I love you just brought up the one feature of our pool that I probably use the most is the jumping rock. I especially love it when people are over and they're walking next to the pool and they haven't gotten in yet, because I can jump way out and I can splash everybody.
There you go.
That's what's nice about being a big guy. So
big splash.
Real quick here. Quick here. I'm going to give a shout out to our good friend Maria. Evidently they've got somebody that cleans their pool, and thankfully
she's making fun of her husband right here.
I think she's rolling under the bus right now, but
just a little bit. So Mickey, we're going into the spring season. Is it too late right now for somebody that wants to build a pool to get one in for this year?
It's not. It's still a decent time in order to get yourself something by the end of this year, even toward the latter part of summer. There's the supply is great, the inventory is great again. We've got a little bit of some challenges, some labor here and there, but the quick and the dirty of it is people are staying busy and they're working. So. And as far as us specifically, the way that we keep our pipeline built and the way that we project out and things like that, today's what, 27, 26, something like that. If we signed a contract with somebody today, we would be excavating within 6 months. And then I like to tell people, hey, if I don't build your pool within 10 weeks, then I got a problem on my hands. I like to do them pretty quick as possible.
What are some of the? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I say case in point. One of them we excavated one on Monday last week, and we like to try and put our ducks in a row so that we don't keep that hole in that dirt open for too very long. We excavated one last week on Monday. We put the steel in on Tuesday. We finished the plumbing by Wednesday. We had a inspection on Thursday, and on Friday we had a concrete shell finished up by that evening. We had the gunite and everything done. So that's the way that we like to try and do it. if we can. And keeping that in mind, we plan our work and we work our plans. So with what we've got in the pipeline and what we expect to do over the next few months and things like that, us as a company could begin something within 6 months, call it a couple of months to finish it up, and you'd be hot topping by Thanksgiving.
Okay, well, that's awesome. So, Joe, you have a question?
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to ask you, Joe. I know we've got Mickey on, but I wanted to ask you, when you had Mickey put your pool in and do your backyard and that, how much value do you think that added to your home?
So, the wife and I talk about that quite a bit. And I think, between the backyard, I hate to say the numbers I spent, but we spent, over 100 on the backyard, because we did a 20 by 25 kitchen covered, retaining wall. I don't know, Mickey, what do you think that retaining wall has got to be at least 50 feet or more?
Yeah, but probably 75 plus, and it's not short. It's a tall wall.
No,
Okay.
yeah, it's it's about 3.5, 4 foot all the way around. And then we have some big old boulders in the slide area and waterfall feature in the grotto. Like one of the boulders, I think, Mickey, it took a little while for them to get that in there and placed right because I had to pick one of the biggest ones out there. Tanya, we'll have to have a pool party at my house. We'll figure out a weekend, but I'm not heating up the pool like Mickey does. So that got expensive. Just the tub. But it added easily the same amount of money that I put into it because of my house, and the backyard was not real usable at all. So when we did that, it added, entertainment area. And so with our yard and stuff like that, I want to say I'm actually more than what I put in it. It added to the value of my house because of where we're at. I know that's not typical for everybody. Mickey, that's a great question to you. When somebody is looking to put in a pool, I think a lot of it is the dimensions of their backyard come into question on the size. And then also, is it adding, livable area, or is it just taking away like grass area? How do you kind of determine that when you're doing the evaluations and talking to clients?
Yeah, good point. Because we see a lot of homes that are pretty close together, and when you have them like that, you end up with a limited amount of backyard space. And do you want to use it all up for a concrete area with a swimming pool or what? So we try to take all that into consideration as much as possible. So for spaces that are smaller, we try to find ways to place a pool in a spot that will leave a decent amount of grass if possible, whether they've got animals or even just kids walking around and running around the backyard. Other ways we do that are moving fence lines. We move a bunch of fence lines because, a lot of times they're at the very edge of the backyard. And, if you can bring that up toward the front, you end up with a dog run or a lane or, other areas for, dogs to go outside and do their business for things like that. But we put some neat pools in some small spaces. I tell you what, the requirements are we got to be 5 feet away from the house and 5 feet away from the back fence. So anything else inside of that area, you can go with and you can make it be what you want. So when we go through the planning process, software we use is really cool. We can take a survey or we can take a global satellite image and build your house, build your whole property on the software, and then put the swimming pool and the design and the illustration on top of that so that we can show you a 3D illustration, a true video of walking through and seeing all those things. So we try to take everything that you want into consideration on top of with everything that you can do and then show it to you and figure out what works. So there's lots of ways to skin a cat for sure.
Yeah. Well, Maria's calling me out on my Texas talk here. What's livable area in a backyard mean? What I mean by that is, I spend most of my time outside under the patio with the TV over the fireplace. That's livable to me. So that's what I mean by space is that's where we entertain. That's where we have everything going on. And the funny thing is, Maria's been to my house when we did a pool party, when we first got the pool in. It was the first party we had after we got the pool all done. We had the whole team over. So I know we're going on our time right now.
Yep.
To all of our listeners, one of the things is, Joe and I, we have different products to help with financing these things. And I know, Mickey, we've done a couple of different ones where, you can do a line of credit on your house, pulling out the equity. You can do a cash out refinance to pull out money that way. But there's also other financing options. And I know Mickey can guide people when you're looking to do this. He can guide you to the other type of financing options. But, a lot of it is, putting the money into an investment of your house is going to help appreciate it. But also it just makes it more, like when you go to sell it, it's a feature that some people are really going to be looking for. And then others might not. You have those shoppers that look for pools and don't look for pools. So, I mean, Joe, if we could, let our audience know how to get a hold of Mickey and Chard Pool and Patio, because I will recommend them all the time. I do now. I send referrals that way, but go onto their Facebook page also. Go out and check them out. Family-owned business, the QR code up top. We really want people to know what Mickey and them can do. And I'll post some pictures this week on my Facebook page about what my pool looks like. Not right now, because I'm still trying to get the green out of it, because I took it. Might have to take Maria's advice and hire a pool company again.
It's all those trees you got back there.
Yeah, and we took out quite a bit of trees too. And, I know I'm going to get some haters out there. We had to remove some trees, but I did use the firewood. So, but Mickey, we really appreciate you coming on. And Joe, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I know we're at that time for you.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, Mickey, for coming on. Really appreciate your advice and your insights for everyone in regards to pools, backyards. I know we just barely dipped into some of it, because there's a lot more that you do as well, for backyards and remodeling and updating them. So everyone definitely reach out to Mickey at ctxpools.com. QR codes up there at the top right as well that you can get them. Next week, we're going to go further into and continue our 4-part series on preparing your home for spring, as we have a special guest, Jason, on to talk about construction, remodeling your home. So be sure to tune in next week, live Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Central. And then thank you to everyone who tuned in today, and comments. Really do appreciate it very much. If you want to catch any of the past shows, go to our YouTube channel at the Mojo Show Real Estate Podcast. You can find all of our past episodes there. And then while you're there, please subscribe. I'll put our plug in again for us, that we are on a mission to get to 1,000 subscriptions or subscribers on our YouTube channel. So while you're there, hit the subscribe button. But before closing out, Joe, any last words for us?
Just thank you guys for supporting us. And again, Mickey, thank you for supporting us today and coming on. And he is a one-stop shop, guys. If you're looking to remodel also, or any other type of construction stuff, I know Mickey can take care of you and give you the right information.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, I'm Joe Mortgage, and that handsome guy with the beard on is Cup of Joe Mortgage, and we'll see you next week.
Mr.